My wife Terry is the owner of City Music, which is located on Watson Road in front of the proposed redevelopment. Many of you will remember her building as the Sherwin-Williams building. If you have not seen the inside of my wife's store, I will tell you that you cannot judge this book by its cover. She has spent a large sum of money on the interior build out of her store, and it is amazing. Music Industry Magazine called her store one of the most exciting and innovative new music stores to be built this decade. Drop by any day after school and you'll see dozens of students there. For more years than I can remember, my wife looked forward to this redevelopment. But now she dreads every day of not knowing what will happen to her business and building. She's almost never contacted by anyone involved. You can count the number of times the developer or Crestwood has contacted her in the last 3 years on one hand. She has personally submitted requests for information under the Missouri Sunshine Law to Crestwood officials and is simply ignored. My wife simply wants one of two outcomes to this nightmare. She wants to either be totally included in the redevelopment or she wants to get out of the way. She wants to be all in or all out. Either her property is purchased by the developer at a fair price and she is given relocation assistance funds in a few months to relocate her business up the street to one of the vacant locations in Crestwood, or she's allowed to become a full part of the redevelopment and a member of the Community Improvement District with cross-access to any roadways or parking areas behind her property so that she does not become an isolated island that does not blend in with the cohesive development. If she is allowed to join in the redevelopment, then the only thing she asks for is that she be compensated for the financial losses that she will sustain because of the massive demolition activities that will be taking place on all 4 sides of her property. Demolition on 3 sides and Watson Road getting torn up in front of her. She has just lost her long-term tenant who said he could not take a chance of keeping his business next to this massive demolition, which in some cases is only 6 feet away from her building. It's my understanding that this type of financial assistance is something that is commonly built into any TIF or relocation assistance legislation. We've had several professional builders and engineers that have told us that with the planned demolition of that parking garage, we will absolutely have damage to our building. Well, I'm going to have to speak fast then. What we want, my wife wants to be totally in the redevelopment or totally out. We don't think we're asking for that much. She's a local business owner. And we're asking that some of those TIF funds be used to either relocate her or the planning and zoning to ensure that she's fully included with cross-access to the property behind her. When I was at the last meeting, I watched some of these TIF members stand up to the other ones and say, we're not ready to vote, we haven't analyzed everything. And I'm asking you to do that again. We've heard that the TIF committee has enough votes to pass, but some of you there stand up for us, protect us, say no, we haven't fully analyzed the cost to the local business owner. Thank you.
Thank you.
Please don't number 2 and number 3, Mike. Is there a number 3rd person or number 4? We have 5, so let's keep it rotating. And we got a lot of empty seats in front. You all want to sit down, make yourself comfortable. You're more than welcome to approach the front. Sit. Okay. Number 2, please.
Well, my name is Sandra Lee, and I've lived in Crestwood since 1963. I remember the mall when there was no mall. And,
Closer to the mic, please. Thank you.
can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. So I've lived here since 1963, and I am very concerned about this new proposal. The median age of Crestwood is supposedly 44 years of age, so I'm wondering how you justify a second senior housing living complex, because there is another senior housing complex within a half mile of this plaza. And there is also an apartment complex right across the street from the property. So why do we need more? How is it that this latest plan, and this plan tonight matches what we saw at White Cliff a few months back, but what I saw in the paper about a week ago does not match what is being said here now. The paper said that it was a senior housing, we were going to have 1 theater and a couple of restaurants. And that does not match what we're being told here again tonight. So I'm confused about that. How will this new proposal help Crestwood's financial shortfall in the long run, and how is it going to help our Lindbergh School District? Because when all said and done, most of us are not going to be around here in another 23 years. We're going to be long gone, a lot of us. There may be a few left, but how is the Lindbergh School District going to survive this? Let's see. Crestwood Plaza has always been commercial property. How is it that it has now been zoned as partial residential property? Crestwood, again, needs finances. We need revenue in the city. How is it that having residential here is going to help this situation without Crestwood then coming back to the taxpayer and saying, hey guys, we need more money. So then we've got the TIF, we've got the tax increase, and then we know Lindbergh School District will come after us as well. And I don't know about everybody else's salary, but my salary doesn't go up to meet all of this stuff. Parks. The paper indicated that we're going to have another park. I don't know about anybody else in Crestwood, but we have lots of parks, and we can go there any day of the week, and they are empty. Why do we need to use commercial property for parks? So that's all I have.
Thank you very much, Dan. We have microphone 1 and 2 is open, so speakers 4 and or 5 are the ones that please fill those mics. Please.
Mr. Chairman and members of the Commission, my name is Ken Lang. I'm a resident of the city of Crestwood for many years. I'm a professional city planner, charter member of the American Institute of Planners, now referred to as the American Institute of Certified Planners. I have held a number of decision-making, planning, and development positions during my career. I am currently retired, and at this time, I do serve on the city's Planning and Zoning Commission and have for over the last 8 years. I am speaking, however, this evening as a Crestwood resident and professional city planner. My remarks are strictly personal. In 1964, I wrote my master's thesis that focused on development in Crestwood, particularly on the importance of the then premier Crestwood Mall as the economic engine and key anchor for the city. Redevelopment of Crestwood Court is as much or more important today for the future economic stability and vitality of the city and the entire Watson Road corridor as it was in 1964. It is imperative that the TIF for Crestwood Court be approved as soon as possible to show that the redevelopment is financially feasible and will allow the developer to obtain commitments for potential tenants. The TIF is absolutely necessary to help offset the unrecoverable major demolition and infrastructure costs. But for the TIF, redevelopment of the Crestwood Court is not economically feasible. With the TIF approval, the developer can begin to finalize the Crestwood Court development details. Of interest, current TIF rules state, quote, no TIF notes shall be issued until the developer has received certificates of occupancy for at least 125,000 square feet of commercial space. The development of the city's comprehensive plan and Crestwood Court redevelopment plans can and should move ahead in concert. The TIF approval does not have to and should not be delayed while the comprehensive plan is completed. With the comprehensive plan and the Crestwood Court redevelopment details moving forward together in a compatible and complementary manner. The residential development component of the Crestwood Court redevelopment plan should not adversely affect member schools for the following reasons. A viable Crestwood Court redevelopment will, number one, stimulate commercial development all along the Watson Road commercial corridor.
Thank you, sir.
Number two, generate new occupants for over the 250,000 square feet of leasable, currently vacant space along the corridor. And number three, will promote upgrades and expansion of commercial space all along Watson Road. I have some more that I'll give you.
Would you please?
Copy of my
Sorry, we
but I would just like to close by saying My presentation on this evening is based on facts that I have gained over 40 years in city planning and development experience. Thank you very much.
I don't want to say more positions to the 3 minutes, and I appreciate the desire to express those, but we have to do that at this point. So thank you again. Oh, microphone 2. All right.
I'm number 4.
You have to speak a little bit closer to the mic or raise it.
I'm number 4, and I'm David Lee.
Thank you, sir.
I promise to keep mine nice and short. I just have 2 things.
Thank you.
I don't think it's fair to have a TIF residential portion on any part of it. I mean, it's not right as a homeowner. It's not fair to us. We'd like to homeowner. I don't think it's fair or right to the homeowners in Crestwood who faithfully pay their real estate taxes to be subsidizing other residents. And then I also wonder if the TIF is needed for the residential, how viable or how sound is really is.
Thank you, sir.
Hello, my name is Catherine Aarons. I'm an English teacher at Lindbergh High School. I'd like to start by thanking this community for your help with the passing of Prop G, which added valuable classroom and cafeteria space to our high school. That being said, Lindbergh High School has one of the highest enrollments in the state, and we are continuing to grow at a very rapid speed. Every classroom in the high school is being used every hour of the day. We are full to capacity, and by the year 2020, projections show that our graduating class will jump from 550 to 750 students. We need a place to put these. Lindbergh is used to setting the bar in education and innovation, but we can only continue to do that if we have the space and the funds to do so.
Hi, I'm Valerie Scholl. I'm also a teacher at Lindbergh High School and a parent in the district. My middle child went to Crestwood Elementary, and my other children went to Long and graduated from the high school. As a teacher in the district, we know that this TIF is not going to benefit our students in the way that it needs to, and our concern is that we will lose money over the life of the TIF. So we just want to make sure our students are protected and that we're able to add the classrooms that we'll need, that we're able to educate our students for the future that they're going to be heading into, that we are able to have the technology in our classrooms that we need to send them out into the world. We are one of the best school districts in the state, and we want to keep that going. We don't want to move backwards. So we would appreciate it if you would consider this.
Thank you very much, both of you. Microphone number 2, please, Mr. Deutscher.
My name is Robert Deutschman, 57 resident, City of Crestwood. I've been trying to be a good citizen for you to be brief and be gone. There must be cooperation from all parties to new development. Cooperation is not capitulation. I want the city to survive at all possible. Some things need to be done now. Money is getting tight. Retirement plans must not be cut at all. There's too many people who retire from Crestwood and intend to retire. I don't want to see it be like the Central States Pension Fund where they're cut it in half already. Well, folks, we got a job ahead of us. We can do it, but we must cooperate. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Deutscher. Microphone number 3, please, ma'am.
Yes, my name is Marge Finklang, and I have 3 children who've gone through the Lindbergh schools. My daughter graduated in 2010 and will be receiving her master's in occupational therapy. My oldest son graduated in 2012 and has entered the trades as a precision machinist. My youngest son will graduate Lindbergh in 2016, plans to go to college and then into nursing. I'm mentioning this because Lindbergh does an excellent job of preparing their students, both for further education and for careers, whatever their path might be. And I want current and future students to have that same quality of education. I am a past president and current vice president of the Lindbergh High School Parent Group. There are a lot of booster groups at the school that support sports teams and clubs. The parent group does academic support. Some of the things that we have purchased for the school include extras, such as lab equipment for the science classes, equipment for the gym classes, Funding for our counselors, they have a family connection program, and we buy ACT booklets for our juniors so they can take practice tests. We support the History Alive program, which brings veterans ranging from World War II veterans to those currently serving in Afghanistan up to our students so they can meet these men and ladies one-on-one and gain from that. We're happy to do that, but I don't feel that the teachers should have to count on parent groups to fund essential classroom things, and that is where we are currently in some respects. Lindbergh has been very fiscally responsible, but it's had to make some painful budget cuts over the last years. My children have been in high school for about 10 years now, and I have seen the counseling department actually be cut. Although the student body continues to grow, we have fewer counselors. Up until this past school year, we had one part-time college and career counselor serving 2,000 students because the budget did not allow for that. And finally, just this school year, they were able to make that back to a full-time position.
30 seconds.
Okay, I've seen several tax increases passed in the years that I've been involved with Lindbergh, and I've always supported that, but I'd have a hard time now asking my neighbors, many of whom are retired, to support further Lindbergh tax increases if they know that TIF has been used for mostly a residential development in Crestwood. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, ma'am. We'll go back to microphone number 1, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Dave Reinhardt. I live at 9321 Crestwood Terrace, 63126. I'm also a parent of a 3rd grader at Long Elementary, and I'm currently the Long PTO president. Ladies and gentlemen, I get it. I really get it. Crestwood's government wants this process passed quickly for a variety of reasons, political and non-political. Urban Street wants to get this passed in order to make money quickly. We are all tired of seeing an empty concrete mess on our main corridor through the town. Do I want to see a new, exciting something on that property? Absolutely, 100% yes. What concerns me is ending over $25 million in taxpayer-funded economic assistance. I have read and internalized Mayor Roby's recent Facebook posts regarding the TIF, what Urban Street is proposing, and the future of Crestwood's prosperity. And I thank him for writing those and being open about his thoughts. Yet I just can't get past giving that much or any money to a residential developer, which in turn means taking away money from Crestwood's most important asset, the Lindbergh School District. People move to Crestwood for overwhelmingly one reason. No, it's not the 50-plus-year-old house with the robin egg blue master bathroom, the canary yellow hall bathroom, and the underground deteriorating clay water pipes. And yes, I just described my house. The reason they move is clear and simple. Lindbergh, Lindbergh, Lindbergh. And families are flocking here in droves. They want their children to have high-quality education. This abundance of students is not a problem whatsoever. It's a challenge, yes, and a good challenge to have. All children deserve the very best in public education. Nevertheless, Lindbergh schools are becoming overcrowded due to lack of classroom space. Long Elementary currently has 663 students. The school is built for 500 students. 15 of those 663 students came within the past 34 days. My point is, Lindbergh and Lindbergh residents cannot have hard-earned taxpayer dollars be diverted for up to 23 years. The best teachers in Missouri star in our schools and educate Crestwood's youth. I don't want those teachers lost because of us losing money.
30 seconds.
Our Lindbergh High School seniors get $15,100,000 in scholarships. I don't want them to get 1 cent less than that amount due to us losing money. My daughter is getting a national blue ribbon school education thanks to Dr. Jana Parker and her amazing teachers and staff. I don't want her or the rest of our 662 boys and girls at Long Elementary to lose one reading test because Crestwood rerouted money away from their families. Concluding, I and many other citizens want and see a bright future for Crestwood. Let's not have that future be $25 million less than it should be. Thank you to everyone for sharing my thoughts.
Thank you. Ma'am?
Hello. I'm Kathy Kenstra. I'm the president of the Lindbergh Schools Board of Education. As president of the Lindbergh Schools Board of Education, it is my responsibility to listen to community members and take their questions and concerns into account when I make decisions. I urge the members of this commission to do the same. A residential TIF threatens Lindbergh's ability to offer high-quality education at a low cost per student from a low tax rate, which is precisely what makes Crestwood a desirable place to live. Last summer, countless community members took the time to attend an open house and shared their thoughts on Urban Streets Redevelopment proposal. The results of that open house were not made public until recently. Did you know that out of 700 people who attended the open house, 350 public comments in that report support quality Lindbergh education, ask the developer not to put apartments on the mall property, and or urge the city of Crestwood not to award a TIF for residential development? 180 of the Post-it notes that covered the developer's drawings that evening said no TIF, no apartments, or protect our schools. This is the voice of the community, and it is the responsibility of each of you and the Board of Aldermen of the City of Crestwood to listen to those concerns. Lindbergh Schools is successful because of the support of our community. In addition to our Lindbergh families, we are grateful for the support of our senior citizens, our residents who do not have children at Lindbergh, and our parents of private and parochial school students. They are a valuable member of our community, and their support has helped us handle growth of more than 200 students per district-wide per year. I agree that we all benefit when senior citizens stay in our Lindbergh communities. We do not want our seniors to move to Kirkwood or Webster and take their real estate, personal property, and sales tax to support those school districts. However, we also do not want our seniors to rent a beautiful new apartment in Crestwood only to have their tax dollars go directly to a multi-million-dollar developer whose commitment to our city and our school district is short-lived. A residential TIF takes much-needed revenue away from our school district and our youngest generation.
30 seconds.
350 public comments echoed these facts, and I ask you to listen to our voices as you make your recommendations. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Sir, you're next.
Yes, my name is John O'Fallon Bell, and I'm a resident of Crestwood. Mr. Chairman, ladies and gentlemen of the TIF Commission, I guess really, if we distill this down to its most salient issue, I would submit to you the issue is, will this TIF make Crestwood, the Lindbergh School District, and the community at large stronger or weaker? In response, I would submit to you it will make it materially and substantively weaker. And I would ask you to account for our shared history, current events, and time. In terms of history, Crestwood has awarded a number of TIFs along the Watson Road corridor. TIFs purport to increase income and employment. In fact, they haven't done that. The Watson Road corridor now suffers 42% in occupancy. We have a city government with a 2016 budget. It's in deficit to the tune of $700,000 with expenses over revenues to the tune of 6%. What is interesting is that with the history of TIF, it's denoted by statute that it's tax increment financing. But I would suggest to you that in practice, it's taxes indefensibly forfeited by local government, by school districts, and by the St. Louis County Library District as well. Funds are not fungible. What we're talking about here is $25 million that's in the mix. It cannot assume two financial buckets. It's either going to go to the city of Crestwood and the Lindbergh School District, or it's going to go to the developer. And what's so insidious about this is that really what this does is it allows the developer to externalize its cost. reducing its expenses, which necessarily increases its profit. That's fine, you know, if you can get by with it, because the fact is, TIF is legal, but it is not a requirement. It's an option. And the burden on all of you is to protect the maximum amount of taxes that are available for your charge. The city of Crestwood charge is the protection and the providing of police, fire, public works, parks, and recreation. It isn't to be induced and seduced into assuming entrepreneurial risk in the private sector. So time is an unforgiving force. We will either be punished or rewarded for either discounting our history and current events. And thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you, sir. We have Mr. Child, microphone 1.
Hi, I'm Martha Dewchild. I am a Crestwood resident. I would like to direct the TIF Commission's attention to the findings section of the redevelopment plan on page 36. The PGAV document contains a false claim on finding number 2, conformance with the comprehensive plan. The Missouri Revised Statute, section 99.810, stipulates that, quote, no redevelopment plan shall be adopted by a municipality without findings that the redevelopment plan conforms to the comprehensive plan for the development of the municipality as a whole. The city of Crestwood does not have a comprehensive plan for the municipality as a whole. In October of 2014, the Board of Aldermen took the first step towards bringing the city into compliance with state statutes by issuing a request for proposals for a comprehensive planner. In July of 2015, the board selected House C. Levine as its planner. In their proposal to the city, House C. Levine underscored that it is important that the comprehensive planning process evaluate the Crestwood Plaza site in the context of the entire community, not just examined as a real estate project. In other words, the comprehensive planner advised against making a determination on the mall site without having first completed the comprehensive plan. They indicated that the Watson Road corridor plan cannot be assumed to fulfill the needs of the comprehensive plan for that area until the community establishes its vision for the municipality through the comprehensive planning process, scheduled to be completed in August of 2016. When Urban Streets Plan was submitted to the city in April of 2015, it did not conform to the Watson Road corridor plan. Through the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting held in July of 2015, the city amended the Watson Road corridor plan to conform to the developer's plan. However, in his closing statement, the Planning and Zoning Chair said that he wanted the record to reflect that whatever was decided that evening would not be termed as an endorsement on his part as identifying the Watson Road corridor plan as a comprehensive plan. Multiple Crestwood officials have established unequivocally that the Watson Road corridor plan cited by PGAV in the findings is not a comprehensive plan. Moreover, the Board of Aldermen never publicly authorized PGAV for this redevelopment to substitute the Watson Road corridor plan for the comprehensive plan that was commissioned by ordinance this past July. Urban Streets Redevelopment Plan fails on the finding that it conforms to the city's comprehensive plan for the development of the community as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. We have the second, and we have 2 microphones open, one and number 3. Speaker 2, please.
I'm number 12. That helps anybody.
Thank you. That's a great question. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Don't count this line, please. My name's Martha Kratzer, and I've been a member, or lived in Crestwood for 23 years. And first of all, I want to just say that I'm glad we're much farther along on this project than we were with the previous developer, because, I mean, and I think that the proposal for mixed use of the property makes a lot more sense than all commercial, especially if you look at some of our other malls and look right across the street at where Schnucks is left, that when one mall gets developed, sometimes other areas go down. So I'm supporting this mixed use. Also, just to address a couple people's comments about how, you know, giving money, TIF money to the developer and all, and they're concerned about Crestwood losing money. If you look at the stalemates or the lack of movement we've had on the mall in the last 8 to 10 years, that in itself has taken money out of Crestwood's pocket. So I'm happy that we're moving forward on this.
Emotion, but thank you very much for this.
Okay, my question, and again, this can be explained in a future article or whatever, but my question concerns the predicted makeup of the housing or apartments, because again, I'm hearing a lot of emotion from people. One saying Urban Street is saying, oh, the housing's going to be mostly senior living housing, which some people are concerned about, I'm hearing that means we won't have a lot of students coming in who are going to go into the schools. You hear people who support the school district saying there are going to be many, many hundreds of kids coming in those apartments. Kind of seems like both of those explanations are kind of exaggerating to their benefits. And then also I'm hearing some people talking about their concern that this is going to bring in Section 8 people, and then we're going to have all this crime overrunning Crestwood and all. So I'm just asking if in a future article, something or another, can someone give us a little more balanced explanation, or if Urban Street, you know, does have a senior living development signed on, then if it's 225 new buildings or new apartments, is that 60% of them or something? So we just have a better sense to kind of decrease some of this housing hysteria that it seems to be hearing. And that is the end of my comment.
Thank you very much. Just for a point of reference, I'm sure the city and the developer will be available to answer some of the questions being posed to this commission. And if they make themselves available either tonight or another date or through their websites, your questions will probably be better asked there and hopefully given the answers that you're looking for. You're number 13. Congratulations.
Negative, sir. I'm number 11, but I decided she was ready to go, so I deferred to the young lady in the center aisle. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Schoen. I'm a longtime resident of Crestwood. I'm also a proud Lindbergh parent. My daughter's a freshman at Lindbergh, part of the Proud Flyer marching band, and she asked me to come here tonight and say, please protect the legacy of Lindbergh schools and please protect what we're going to leave behind. I don't think that giving TIF money will necessarily endanger the legacy of Lindbergh School District. However, what we use that TIF money for certainly will. The last speaker said, I don't understand how people can consider that they're going to come to the city of Crestwood to attend Lindbergh School District. If it's not a selling point, then how come do so many people, young families now, are moving in to the city of Crestwood in order to partake the fine quality education brought to you by the Lindbergh administration? People, that is your property value. If the Lindbergh School District's quality deteriorates, that will, underline, will negatively affect your property value. The value of your school district reflects directly on the value of your property. Please keep that in mind as you support this TIF, okay? Finally, I ask the commission, think about what you're offering these folks. There are buildings directly across the street that are very similar in construction. They're a unified offering, yet they stand empty. Why do they stand empty? Perhaps because the tax breaks that were given to the developer of that particular property have run out. And those folks need to pay taxes now. So I ask you to consider that. And I also ask that if you, in fact, support this TIF, that you get in hard writing the residency requirements of what's going into those apartments. All right? I asked the developer, and I will reiterate this to the public. Why is this being an apartment in a non-saleable property? Why can these not be condos, which will then be subject to taxes that will come back to the school district? Remember, folks, Lindbergh School District supports your property value by the value and the quality of the education they provide the students of their district. Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you, sir. I'm totally lost on what number we're, so I'm just going to start over here. Microphone 1, please.
Thank you. I'm Virginia Harris, and I strongly support the TIF. I'm a retired teacher. I've lived in Crestwood for over 25 years, hard to believe. I do feel, I was here when the Walgreens, or when the dime store was at the mall, and I was here when the mall died. And we need a major, successful operation in that huge area of the mall. Stores are empty simply because they don't have a magnet to call people. And I'd like to respond to the well-meaning people who are really strongly supporting the Lindbergh School District. I'm very proud to be in the Lindbergh School District. However, I feel like the impact of those few apartments that are going to be just 1 or 2 bedrooms, based on what I've read in the paper, will have such few children that the actual cost to the district will be negligible. Right now, the district is getting nothing. So there will be hope for the future. And if we have a vibrant Watson corridor, our housing values will go up. I live off of Liggett and Sappington and zoom right into nothing at the mall. If we have some place that we can go to use, it'll make our area even more attractive. And maybe people who go to Lindbergh will move to Crestwood and not just Penn, because it's a large district. The district really needs to consider how they're spending their money also. By buying Johnny's Market, that's taking a whole chunk out of our tax basis. Instead, with the building going on at Dressel School, put it there. It's a huge area. But I think the district needs to start thinking too, how they can overcome some things. We don't need 3 signs on Crestwood School with a little top knot. Save your money, put it where it needs to be, with the teachers and with the curriculum. And so therefore, I feel like Lindbergh's concerns are not really, should not be the deciding factor for the TIF.
30 seconds.
And I strongly support it. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your considerations in that. I don't know what number we're at, but I see number 2, microphone's occupied, and Mr. Hill, you'll be next. You're not right, but now number 2, please, and you'll follow her.
You all have a handout, honorable.
But Mr. Miller,
I'm speaking number.
no, you're not speaking yet. The lady in the middle of microphone 2 is, you'll be right next. Thank you, sir.
My name's Regina Massey. I've been a resident of Crestwood for 50 years, and what I have to say about, I'm for the TIF. Lindbergh is great. Lindbergh District is great. And what I want to say is when my generation graduated, it was 900 plus students per class, and I sort of feel like we all turned out pretty good. I think we did. Without the redevelopment, like the man previous to me said, there's going to be no Lindbergh School District. Crestwood is not going to be here. So I think people are moving into Crestwood because of Lindbergh School District. So we need this redevelopment to keep Lindbergh School District alive. So that's really all I have to say.
Ms. Mansky. Mr. Miller.
Yeah, I put a handout.
Yes, sir. We all
I'm going to be speaking to this. Robert Miller. I have no expertise, but you can call me anyway if you have any questions. And I'll be kicked out of here before I finish this.
We've got 3 minutes. Starting now.
Starting now, all right. The Urban Street Group provides unique opportunities for the placement of real estate investments. The firm is continually evaluating new avenues for equity employment. This is high-risk venture capital, and I can't afford it. They and North American Properties first invested in St. Louis in 2012 by picking up the investments, 6 parcels from the bankrupt Roberts Brothers for $16.5 million in 2012. By far the largest structure is the 23-story Roberts Tower, which was already completed and was at a cost of $50 million by the Roberts Brothers before they went belly up. The brothers had invested millions also into the Orpheum Theater, Mayfair Hotel, Roberts Lofts on the Plaza, and 4 adjacent buildings on Urban Locust Street. Urban Street Group in 2012 said that it plans to restore the theater, the Orpheum, built 100 years ago on the history legend. Here is an article from the St. Louis Business Journal 2012 edition. New owners to take the stage at Orpheum Theater. They also plan to revamp the Mayfair Hotel, 92 years old, a block of buildings along Locust Street, and the Board of Education building also on Locust Street. Urban Street got the tower to furnish, which was already $50 million spent by Urban Street. All they had to do was refurnish it. They also got the theater, Mayfair, and the school board. Urban Street bought the Mayfair with this parcel in 2012 and sold it for $4 million in 2013. They didn't rehab anything or develop it. Magnolia, they also sold the Mayfair Hotel, which was sold for $6 million. There's already 25% of their $16 million investment. And then the hotel, the theater, nothing's been done, it's boarded up. Also, all of the other property over on Locust Street is boarded up except for the lofts, which are already up and running by the Roberts Brothers. They have done absolutely no redevelopment in the city of St. Louis. Nothing is commercial, no commercial, all residential. And it was already built there. They haven't invested anything. 30 seconds? Yeah, 30 seconds. Mayor of Chicago, he in 2012 shut down TIF. TIF was bankrupting the city. $250 million. And I'm sure these Urban Street people from Chicago know this. That's probably why they're here trying to get our money. Of that windfall of $250 million, the $125 million would go to the Chicago Public Schools, which is bankrupt. We'll be glad to hear that. And also $50 million will go to the city government. So I wish I could finish this because I'm only getting started and warmed up.
Thank you again. We do have your written comments, so thank you, sir. Line 41, please.
My name is Beth Johnson. I'm number 16. I work at Lindbergh Schools and I live in Crestwood. I'm here tonight to tell you that Lindbergh Schools is very much invested in the successful redevelopment of our mall property. We're invested in it because 58% of that revenue comes to the school district. And that is essential for our district overall. We project more than 300 students next year. You've heard 200 students in recent years. Tonight, please consider what, if any, details Urban Street has provided in its TIF proposal before you recommend whether the Board of Aldermen should take our valuable resources from our students and impose a 10% sales tax on those of us who live in Crestwood and want to shop local. In December, Mr. Triplett and Superintendent Dr. Jim Simpson and I met with Mr. Burke, and he offered to convert some of the proposed apartment space to senior living. You heard that tonight. He told us, as you heard, that any non-senior apartments would be removed from the TIF rolls, ensuring that we would receive the tax revenue from those structures. This is a step in the right direction. However, what we ask for is answers to questions and a written commitment, a proposal that includes specifics. Following our meeting, we sent Mr. Burke an email with the questions and asked that he put his proposal in writing. I have a copy of that email. I'm happy to share it. Some of our questions were, how many of the 225 apartments will be designated for seniors? The exact number needs to be included in the TIF agreement. We said legal language must be in the TIF that locks in the definition of senior apartments to avoid alteration in the future. And the district also requested that if senior apartments are converted to regular apartments for any reason in the future, those buildings would be placed on the tax rolls. Mr. Burke did respond to my email the next day, which I appreciated. He said he understood our desire to have more details, and he'll strive to answer those questions, and make sure that it's memorialized in the TIF document. We appreciate that. excuse me, since December 15th, we haven't received any of the answers to those questions. We have received nothing in writing. Clearly, you have a TIF proposal, and we saw information up here without specifics on how many apartments would be seniors, how many would be non-seniors. So what I'm saying is that we cannot approve a proposal without those details and confirm sources of revenue. We cannot leave the future of our outstanding educational system to chance when millions of dollars are at stake. And I'll close by saying that my husband and I have 2 daughters, young daughters. We moved to Crestwood to give them the best possible chance for their future. World-class education and a childhood in one of the best cities to raise kids. Lindbergh is the economic engine in Crestwood. You've heard this. It brings young families to our community. We should be cautioned against giving away $15 million in tax revenue in the form of a TIF. Thank you for taking the time to listen to my concerns and those of others. I hope you will take adequate time to consider all these concerns before making your decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Now we're up to number 17. Is speaker 17 ready? Is there a speaker 18?
I'm 15 actually.
I beg your pardon?
I'm 15.
Is there a 15? Thank you,
Yes,
sir.
there's a 15. So I would like to thank you for the opportunity to talk before you. My name is Ismail Ayouaz. I'm a Crestwood resident. I'm also originally from France, Paris. So my wife and I, we came to this country 7 years ago from Paris, and we came with big dreams. Those dreams were buying a home and raising our family here. It was buying a home is our biggest purchase, and for all of that, Crestwood is very important to us, and we care deeply for this city and our community. Crestwood is a great little city, but I believe that it can be even greater. Young families look for attractive communities like ours. They come here because Crestwood offers great and reliable city services, property taxes that are among the lowest in the county, and it's one of the safest places to live. Notably, we have one of the finest school districts in the country. But also something I would like to say is that if people come to Crestwood, it's not only because of the Lindbergh district, it's because we have great services. We have our own police department, own fire department, and I think that matters. Unfortunately, with a 2016 budget of $600,000, those great services and property taxes are in jeopardy and may become something of the past, and to us, it's not acceptable. And I think that like many Crestwood residents and Lindbergh parents, I'm supportive of the Crestwood Plaza redevelopment project. Our city is at a crossroads in its history. For many years, the former mall site has been deteriorating into an eyesore. It's one of the main reasons why businesses are leaving Crestwood, and this is the primary reason we are experiencing these financial difficulties. And as it stands today, the proposed project will bring needed revenues to both the city and the school district, and will send a strong message to our businesses that we want them to stay. So with your help, we can make this great city greater and our community stronger. I am urging this commission to approve on February 10th the use of TIF and make way for the immediate redevelopment of the 47-acre site, not only because it's a viable plan, but because this community wants it. It is the right thing to do for the city long-term financial health and prosperity. Every homeowner benefits from stable property values and a vibrant community that looks forward, not back. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I don't know if I've made the speakers are actually requested to leave their card in the basket. I got a feeling that hasn't happened a lot. So you've got great minutes and a recording machine over there. So if the future speakers, please, when you're finished, you've got your card and your number on it, put it in the basket so we can connect the two. I'm sorry, but very well done, man. Your number what?
Okay. My name is Heidi Klosterman. I'm a longtime resident of the city of Crestwood. I'm also a parent of 2 children in the Lindbergh School District. I have a daughter who is a freshman at Lindbergh High School, and a son who is in the 4th grade at Long Elementary. So not only have we been living here a long time, but we will continue to be in the city and the school district for quite some time as well. Having said that, I want to express my support for this TIF, which includes the residential component. I'm sorry that there are apparently not very many people here speaking in favor as parents of school kids going to the district, but I do know, and I have spoken with many parents
including today several, who do support this TIF as both residents and parents, sending their kids to the school of Crestwood. We know that there is an overcrowding issue. The school district has some issues to overcome. I think, though, that that will only become more severe if we continue to let this very large parcel of property continue to deteriorate without redevelopment. I would also like to commend the developer for coming up with creative solutions to address the school district's concern regarding the alleged influx of school-aged children that the residential component is said to be bringing if that goes through. I think that was a very creative solution, and it seems to have addressed the school district's concern that they are not receiving property taxes commensurate with the school kids who would be coming into our schools as a result of this development. The one thing I would say is that I am, however, completely opposed to the use of eminent domain within the redevelopment area. I am very concerned about city music. I know that the developer addressed this and said that they would not be using eminent domain, but saying that they won't use it is not the same as saying they can't use it. I would be very interested in having the redevelopment plan explicitly state that eminent domain is not authorized for use within the redevelopment area. The city music, we heard from the gentleman, that is a real benefit to the community. They moved here not too long ago. The Lindbergh School District has excellent music programs, and as a parent of a student in the school who participates in those music programs, I frequent city music a lot, and it would be a great loss to the community if they were to move out of the neighborhood.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Sir, I don't care what your number is.
My name is Daniel Pangill, and I've lived in Crestwood for 4 years consecutively, and I'm in support of this proposed redevelopment of the Crestwood Mall. When I first moved here about 15 years ago, the Crestwood Mall was vibrant. I worked at the mall. There were shops there. There was a lot going on. Unfortunately, I have to drive to Kirkwood, Webster Grove, St. Louis, Arnold to do any of my shopping. It's kind of unfortunate that I live right next to the mall redevelopment, and I have to drive miles to get to things that I need to buy. The demolition of the mall site is important for the community because of safety, economic development, and planning for the future. I think that Urban Street has done a lot to bring their proposal to the community. They've made multiple attempts to put the proposal out. They've explained it multiple times. When Lindbergh School, which I value Lindbergh School, and I think that we all benefit from them, when they brought up a concern, like was mentioned, the Urban Street developer took that concern and addressed it. Unfortunately, there are multiple concerns by the Lindbergh District. It doesn't seem to me that there will be a viable plan going forward because it seems that there are lots of times there are ways to stop it or they're wanting more information. I just want the committee to go forward with this. I think it'll be a win-win for everybody. By doing this development and getting rid of the eyesore and having more places to shop and things to do around here, it's a win-win for everybody. We will increase the property values of the homes and have things for us to do around here that live in Crestwood. I think that whatever you can do to move forward with this at a timely manner would be great. Thanks.
Thank you very much for your comments. I don't know if there's anyone less who wants to speak and may not have gotten a card. If that's the case, please feel free to go to the back of the building and get a card, fill it out, and we'll gladly recognize you. And ma'am, what number do you have?
I'm number 28, which I'm sure there's a lot of other people out there with other numbers, but nobody was standing up. So
there's an open mic, so if you're somewhere in that range, but ma'am, you're next, please.
Thank you very much. My name is Christy Fairbanks, and I've been a resident of Crestwood now for 8 years. I appreciate everybody's input, and thank you to the commission for giving us this opportunity to speak. I share the concerns and understand the concerns of Lindbergh School District. I have a daughter at Truman Middle School. She's getting an excellent education, And I very much appreciate that, but we've got to look farther down the road than 5 years, 10 years. We've got to look 20 years down the road. And right now I'm looking towards 2020 when my daughter will be 16. And I want her to have a walkable place to go, to have a part-time job at one of the restaurants or the retail locations there. Give her the opportunity to earn some money for college. I want her to have a walkable entertainment area now. We live not far from the mall, but there's really nowhere for her to go outside of just our local neighborhood. And we certainly, although we're near Grants Trail, don't have a lot of access to those parks that are so numerous in the area for her to get to. So I support the commission. I understand the school's issues and would like to see as many things written out and defined in the policy moving forward, but I do support it. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, ma'am. And number 24. Okay. Please go ahead, ma'am.
My name is Naomi Brett, and spell it right, R-E-N-T-H. I have no business acumen. I am not a public speaker. I was a nurse for a zillion years, but I could read. And when I came in, I read your sheet that you distributed, and to use some of your words, expected term of TIF is actually 37 years. Because it says 23, and then down here it says to last approximately 15 years is the salary. So that's 37 years. Not only does it freeze real estate taxes, it also captures 50% of sales tax. And down here it also says, if I'm correct, a portion of the cost will be returned to the developer. So we're not paying taxes, they're going to get a lot of the sales tax, and they're going to get a portion of that back. And by the way, it does not say how much the portion is. The developer is in business to make money. He's already said, per the little slide demonstration, that if they don't get it, they don't do it. So obviously he is not doing it out of any sort of social obligation. He wants to stay in business. And all of you would like to stay up there on that platform. So am I opposed to it? Yes. I will remain opposed to it. I really don't know. You said the subsequent meeting may be February 10th, and perhaps I'm mistaken, but I didn't really get a sense of whether or not that will be another public forum. So perhaps you could enlighten me on that. So can I expect to be back here February 10th? And if I can't, will I be able to speak? Thank you.
You're welcome. I thought I made it very clear at the start of the meeting that after the vote was taken by this commission to eliminate item 5 of our agenda, that there will be a meeting February 10th. It will be not a comment meeting, but you'll be more than welcome to listen. I think I also made it very clear that we weren't clear where we would have that meeting at that time, because we didn't know if we had this turnout or not, but that would be decided later on. And we'd be very much open to the public, ma'am. I'm sorry you misunderstood it. Thank you, sir.
Well, excuse me.
No, ma'am, I don't care to hear more from you now.
You said to listen, I understand. What if I want to say something?
All the public comments are tonight, not 10. That's what I said. And as far as being on this commission, we are not salaried or paid anything. We're losing personal time to sit here and serve you. Thank you, sir.
Good evening. My name is Jay Wiseman.
You don't like that, Mike?
I'm a resident of Crestwood, and I also own Ernie Petty Auto Leasing and Sales on Watson Road. I think the elephant in the room tonight, and I'm sympathetic to all the people with the Lindbergh comments. I don't care, I don't live there. I live in the annex section where it's Afton High School, where it's the Afton School District. What I do care about is my business. What I do care about is the businesses in the city of Crestwood who are rapidly deciding to leave the city of Crestwood, myself being one of those. I moved to Crestwood, I moved my business from Sunset Hills to Crestwood 5 years ago. And all we've had over the last 5 years are all these empty promises about this mall project. If you take the traffic study that was on Watson Road 5 years ago, when I moved here, and you look at the traffic study that there is today, it's down by a third. And it's down by a third because there's nobody going to Watson, Watson and Sappington. This is a serious problem. I am in full support of this commission. I am in full support of the developer. I don't care if they bulldoze it and leave an empty lot there. We just need to have something done. And it's up to you folks to get that done for us and the administration of the city of Crestwood. Businesses have had enough. There was a businessman's meeting at City Hall about 3 weeks ago. Everybody's had enough. We've all had enough of the tax structure in the city of Crestwood. We've all had enough of the lack of business in Crestwood. My business has been an established business for 40 years in the city of St. Louis. Mr. Patty started this organization 40 years ago on Kings Highway. He and I moved to Watson Road 10 years ago. When he passed away, I bought the business with all of the hopes and aspirations of keeping that business on Watson Road, keep it in my family, and I'm making those decisions now not to do that because of the situation. Again, I understand the Lindbergh thing. It's old news, guys. It needs to be addressed. Yes, I agree with that. But what more has to be addressed is making this project work and keeping the businesses that support the city of Crestwood by the taxes, by the people that are coming here and spending money. That's what needs to be done. I'm in full support of this. I hope it happens. Thank you very much.
Do you either one of you gentlemen have a number on your card, or do you just care to go? You're on.
Okay, my name is Dan Wheeler. I have a business property in Watson Industrial. I don't live in Crestwood. We've had property over 10 years here. I believe that something should be done to the Crestwood Mall. It's an eyesore, there's flooding issues, in my case, that I'm certainly aware of. And I don't see a better choice. That's been sitting empty. There's been nobody clamoring to come in and build retail or any other type of anything. This seems to be the best option for the city. I don't think you have another option. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Microphone number 3.
I am Spencer Talbot. I am a resident of Crestwood. I am also at the risk of having tomatoes thrown at my back in the commercial real estate industry. I also sell residential real estate, but my focus is mostly commercial. I only bring that up to say this. What's happening across the street from the mall site has been mentioned a few times tonight. I personally have had 3 different pretty major and national tenants look at that site wanting to come to the area. The reason it's sitting vacant at this moment and they have not signed an LOI, which we were speaking of earlier, is because they want to see what happens there. In addition to them, there's 2 other large tenants, one being a local company wanting to move from the city to the suburbs, and another national company also looking into the area. They are more enticed by Webster Groves, by Kirkwood, by Sunset Hills, and even Baldwin because they are thriving and have thriving commercial districts in addition to their stellar school systems. What lacks in Crestwood is the fact that we do have a stellar school system. It is actually why my better half and I decided to buy here in Crestwood. We did not have a child at the time, but we chose our house based on resale value because we knew we had a strong school district. At the same time, we both, I should regress, we both work in the industry, and our peers and our colleagues actually thought we were crazy for choosing Crestwood over one of the neighboring communities. We had a long fight, but I like mid-century design, and our house was cheaper than buying in Sunset Hills, frankly, so that's why we were there. That being said, I've wrote a few articles in the paper, I've had a few responses. I understand that some people think we may seem desperate to jump on board with this gentleman sitting in the room. He said it best. Right now, he's our only choice. While it's not always popular or a good idea to jump in bed with the first person that wants to offer you a marriage proposal, it's also bad to say no to 5 different men because you risk ending up very lonely and alone with no one to support you. So I only use that analogy because it was used towards me in a publication. That being said, obviously I support the TIF scenario. I want to encourage people to look around at other suburbs in America because there's actually several successful suburbs who have gone through the same strains and the same difficulties that we have and have come out on the other side. I personally am from Missouri. I've lived in a few of those and have actually watched the progress being made and benefited and hurt on both sides. So I can only say, having lived through those scenarios, please know that the short term is exactly that, in short term. Over the long term, Crestwood will be a much better place and much healthier in the long run should we support this. Thank you.
Thank you. I just got information, the meeting of the TIF will be held at City Hall, not here. I'll repeat that. The meeting of the TIF will be held at City Hall in the Automatic Chambers at 7 o'clock on February 10th. It's a Wednesday. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Yvonne Merlai. I bought my first home in Crestwood here just a couple years ago, but before that I grew up in Crestwood and graduated from Lindbergh High School. Everybody is really throwing some spears at poor Mr. Burke here, and I feel bad for him because I work in commercial real estate, and he is really, when he said that he's taking on a job that nobody else wants to do, he is 100% correct. Everybody I know in commercial development, I asked them, hey, why don't you go look at Crestwood Plaza? Let's get that going. And they're like, ooh, they don't want to touch it. But he's here. He's ready to go. He's got a great plan, and he's diving in. And everybody wants to scream about $15 million. That doesn't even cover the destruction and the infrastructure that needs to be done at this site. It's a disaster. And I hate to see that. I grew up in that mall. All my high school jobs were in that mall. My parents met at that mall. It means a lot to me. It's got to happen, and we've got to push that domino, and we've got to bring Watson Road back. And I don't want to see the school district lose money, and I understand overcrowding and feel that that's a bit of a separate issue. But if we don't bring Watson Road back, all the property values up and down the entire road are going to decline. Revenues to the school district are going to continue to decline. Our residential property values are going to decline. That comes out of the school district's money. We've got to bring this back. It's all going to mean more money. All of nothing is still less than some of something. So we've got to start this. Please recommend this. Get it through. I didn't plan to speak tonight, I'm sorry, so I'm rambling.
Thank you, ma'am.
Hi.
Number 3.
Sure. My name is Mike Parents, and it's apparent that Lindbergh has been well represented here tonight, as they should be. It's a jewel within our community, and we don't want to lose that. But there's more to Crestwood than just the Lindbergh School District. I think the gentleman from France said best that he came to this community because it was cost effective, quality of life, but it needs to be vibrant. The mall is not vibrant. It's a sore in our neighborhood. We need to get rid of it. It needs to be developed. Is there a risk in it? There's a risk in it because you have to spend money to make money. So I'll leave it at that. What I want to argue is this: Lindbergh School District has expressed concern about the Urban Street and the development's impact on the district. Did they express the same concern when 300+ homes were built across from Grant's Farm? The latter has far greater impact on the classroom. I don't get it. I just don't get it. The last thought is Shrewsbury, Sunset Hills, and now Afton are proceeding with developments. Crestwood remains in neutral. It's time to move on. Let's roll the dice. I think we need to make money.
Thank you, sir. You can put your card if you have one, sir. Thank you. Thank you, sir. Alderman Vincent.
Yeah, Mike Vincent. I'm speaking in favor of the financial assistance for our Crestwood redevelopment and in favor of Urban Street's very fine plan. At your last commission meeting, Mr. Braccaglione used a word to describe the former Crestwood Plaza site. That word was sad. I am pleased to hear that it can clearly and legally be judged as blighted. As a Crestwood resident for decades, my wife and I feel that the loss of the services and the economic impact has truly been sad. It is disappointing to me that some folks still can't envision the dramatic and positive effect that this redevelopment will have on the entire Watson corridor and on our city's bottom line, and to all of the taxing entities as well. I strongly believe that Crestwood will see further economic property value decline and social deterioration if Bourbon Street is not assisted at this time. I thank each one of you for your service on the commission, and I encourage your rapid and unanimous support so that Crestwood and other adjoining neighborhoods will continue to move forward. We came here years ago because of the I-44 corridor, because of great property tax, because of great police and fire, because of the neighborhoods and all the wonderful services. All three of my kids got excellent blue ribbon education in parochial schools, and I'm still pleased to pay taxes to support our great Lindbergh district. I think it's time for all citizens and Lindbergh parents and the Lindbergh district to step up and be good corporate citizens at this time for the great city of Crestwood.
You're number 2.
In my 47 years on Earth, I've spent.
You
In my 47 years here on Earth, I've spent almost 40 of them in Crestwood. My husband and I bought a house here 15 years ago. We have 3 kids. One's a graduate of Lindbergh, 2 are at Lindbergh presently. I myself am a 1986 Lindbergh graduate, so I'm a proud Lindbergh alum. I'm also an alum of Crestwood Dillard's and Crestwood Medicine. I had jobs there as a teenager, and I had a lot of great times there as a teenager. With respect to the concerns expressed by people within the Lindbergh School District, I disagree. I think this TIF needs to go forward. I think a lot of the fear of the TIF spoken by school officials makes an assumption that because we use a TIF, we can no longer expect tax support from the citizens, whether they're senior citizens or not, whether they have kids in schools or not. Historically, we have overwhelming support from the citizens of Crestwood for our district. I don't think that will change because a TIF goes through. So with that said, I'll just read my piece here. I'd like to appeal to my fellow citizens to approve the TIF for the redevelopment of the mall as proposed. It's not perfect, but it's darn good. I would like to ask folks to consider that it takes money to make money, so our monetary investment via TIF, because I don't see another alternative, is required to make our city greater and stronger. We cannot expect the developer to bear all costs and risks. They are not obligated to. It's like, this is a simple analogy, but I'm a simple person, so I'll just do it. It's like saying my neighbor who is wealthy and has more resources than I should pay my utilities because I struggle financially and can't pay all my bills. No, just because Crestwood is strapped for cash doesn't mean we don't have a responsibility to contribute to the betterment of the city. In other words, we may need to sacrifice via TIF or some similar means to help restore Crestwood to greatness. Just because Urban Street Group has deeper pockets than our little city does not mean they have to bear all costs and risks. They are a business and want to develop a project that will make money. They don't have to do us the favor of redeveloping solely on their dime. Sure, that would be nice, but it's not their obligation. Let's work with Urban Street Group. It won't be long before they tire of our refusals to cooperate and they just walk away. Then we have a 47-acre ruin, which will drag down not just the Lindbergh School District, but our entire city.
37.
Keep Crestwood great. Let's work with Urban Street Group, not against them.
Ma'am, I thank you, but I didn't hear your name at the very beginning, so if you would please.
I didn't state it. Jean Brandy Coster.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Simpson.
Thank you very much. My name is Jim Simpson. I do live in Crestwood, and I am the superintendent of the Lindbergh School District. The school district understands and and supports retail development at the 47-acre mall site. But we have strong concerns about the TIF, and we have strong concerns about the 225 residential units. And I'd like to point out some red flags that we see with that. Developer has no signed contracts for retail. Without contracts, there is no way this commission or the Crestwood Board of Aldermen can determine if any meaningful retail will ever be on this site, or if that retail will conflict with existing stores. Therefore, we request this TIF commission reject the TIF until a reasonable number of retail contracts are in place. The second red flag, we are concerned the mall site is being excluded from the comprehensive plan that House Hill Levine is presently developing. House Hill Levine personnel stated to us that the only way they could create a plan without the mall site included is to assume whatever development happens on the site will be highly successful and throw off economic energy along the Watson Road corridor. This is a very risky assumption at best. We request the commission insist that a meaningful and thorough comprehensive plan be in place that includes the mall site before granting any approval of this TIF. The next red flag. TIF should not be used for residential development because it greatly increases the risk of a failed TIF. In order to pay back a TIF, there must be many cash registers, sales producing sales tax. Residential does not contribute any sales tax, thus making the TIF more risky and subject to failure. We request the TIF Commission deny this TIF based on the fact that the developer is basing the TIF repayment upon a risky plan due to the 225 residential apartments for the site. The next red flag, flipping the property. Developer has relatively very little money in this project since the purchase price was so very low. Granting the developer $25 million via TIF sets up a scenario in which flipping the property and walking away with a good profit is highly likely. We request the TIF Commission require a no flip clause for the length of the TIF in order to assure the developer delivers upon their promises. Finally, the Lindbergh School District is the fastest growing district in the county. We have hundreds of new students coming to our schools each and every year. These new families buy our homes at premium prices, shop local, and bring increasing vitality and energy to Crestwood businesses. All this positive energy and health is at risk when Crestwood leadership uses the school district's tax base as a piggy bank to help developers. Thank you.
Yes, hi, my name is Karen Penrod.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear your name, ma'am.
My name is Karen Penrod.
Thank you.
We've only heard this once tonight, but consider this. Why not condos instead of apartments? It's called pride of ownership, an investment in the community. It's school district and all of its endeavors. People come to Crestwood to stay. They're not simply passing through. High-end rents might work in the big city of Chicago, where I'm from. But Crestwood is one of the smallest suburbs in St. Louis, not likely to draw high-end rents, in my opinion. What is the draw to Crestwood? The biggest draw I see is the top-notch education. Lindbergh is one of the top-rated school districts in the state of Missouri, and paying list price or less for a house in Crestwood is now a difficult task. After all, there is a direct correlation between property values and school rank. Aside from the school district, Crestwood has great amenities like our very own police and fire departments, nice parks, White Cliff Aquatic Center, Grants Trail, nearby grocery stores and shopping, good restaurants, and not to mention our close proximity to Grants Farm, Mansion House, and the brand new library. We have a great location, fairly centrally located, and still pay less taxes than most neighboring suburbs. Let's keep a good thing going. The demand in Crestwood is real estate. Most people would rather own than rent. After all, it's an investment. There is a demand to live in Crestwood because of the school district, and a demand to own something other than a house, which requires a lot of extra maintenance. Our area is not a trendy, high-end rent district. Our area is stable and kid-friendly. With a degree in landscape architecture, I'm looking at the context of the blighted mall property in order to meet our community's needs, which will ultimately provide a sustainable design that will last many years beyond any TIF agreement. A blighted site will not be redeveloped without TIF. I'm a realist. But at the same time, our school district and our community depend on these taxes in order to keep providing the education and services to which we've become accustomed. The question we should be asking is, how long can our school district, police, and fire departments survive without added tax money to support the needs of this new development we'll create? The answer, not long. Not before they're asking to raise our taxes to offset the added costs associated with the new development. No new taxes will be generated until the TIF dissolves.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much. I want to remind everyone who's not had a chance to speak, you may still do so if you go to the back of the room and get a card and fill it out and place it in the basket when you're finished. Mr. Miller?
Number 35, I was a chairman of the economic development department at Crestwood.
Your name, please, again, so.
Let me start over.
I'm saying that just 3 minutes.
My name is Forrest Miller.
Thank you.
I was the chairman of the Crestwood Economic Development Commission for 4 mayors. All 4 of the mayors had this on their agenda. This was number 1. We all worked very hard, as did the Board of Aldermen, to try to find a suitable development for the Crestwood Plaza. Many of the mayors lost their re-election because of this. And the residents, one resident just said, let's shoot the dice. Well, when you look at all the things that can happen, shooting the dice might not be the best thing to do. There's a lot of people that can be affected by the decisions you make here today. I'm also a commissioner for the Economic Development Department of the state of Missouri. This county is the TIF capital of the state. We are eating each other up because of TIFs. Crestwood Plaza would still be alive if it wasn't for the TIF of West County, Kirkwood, and Sunset Hills. Westfield Shopping Center, when I was in the commission, Westfield Shopping Center made deals with the shopping centers that were new, okay, to let people get out of their leases at Crestwood Mall to get leases in West County. That chart that he showed of the sales tax revenue going down to nothing, that was planned obsolescence by each one of those developers. That did not have to happen. A year ago, Crestwood was named one of the most desirable cities to live in by a national organization. Well, that just doesn't happen without Crestwood having some ability to attract some good things to the community. The other thing I'd like to tell you is this. Walmart just got a TIF up the street here. $15 million TIF. That's about a quarter of the size of this development that we're doing now. The TIF that he's asking for is not going to be enough. He's going to need more money. He's going to get in the middle of this development and it's going to go kaputs. And all you people that live around Crestwood Plaza are going to have dirt for 3, 4, 5 years. And that could easily happen. It could be worse than what it is right now. Go up to McKinsey Point now that Walmart is in business. Look at all the vacancies. Look at all the stores out of business. Well, exactly what happened. They didn't renew, I know what to say. They didn't renew their lease because of Walmart. You're going to put retailers in here in an unnatural situation. Their costs are not going to be as great as regular business costs, and they're going to put other people out of business. We just saw Ballpark Village get a $17 million tax credit, and guess who went out of business? Mike Shannon, Harry's, and 10 other restaurants. We have no increase in population here. We're adding all this retail, and somebody's going to get hurt. Thanks.
You have the floor, I'm just trying to make sure you understand. There are 2 open microphones. If anyone else wants to speak, please occupy that, because we can start lining this down if there's no other comments. But sir, please, you have the floor.
Thank you. My name is Kevin Kelch. I live at 9239 Silvercrest Drive. So I've been a resident of Crestwood for over 20 years now. I was raised in Crestwood, right behind the mall. I went to Lindbergh School District. I have family members that work with the Lindbergh School District. When it came time for my wife and I to buy a house, we wanted to live in Crestwood. That was the place that we decided to buy a home and start our family. We literally drive by this site daily and watch it get worse and worse. Something has to happen. So I've heard a lot of people get up here tonight and talk, and I would just ask that you take the time to really read through the redevelopment plan, the cost-benefit analysis that was done. There's a ton of educational material out there that I feel like a lot of people aren't aware of or haven't taken the time to study. So just some quick notes that I wrote down. So the TIF is only $15 million. There's 2 other tax vehicles that are going to be implemented. So the CID and the TDE. Those are separate. So they're basically 1% on top of any sales each that are done at the development site. So only $15 million is going towards, so that's not $25 million, it's all TIF money. So it's not all coming out of that same bucket. So really, this extra $10 million is being put towards, the development to pay the developer back. It's not coming out of the TIF. It's coming as additional 1% each on the sales. So when someone goes to buy something at the mall, they'll spend 2 extra percentages until that's paid off. That will increase the sales tax in Crestwood, yes, but in comparison, Kirkwood's 9.5%, Clayton's 9%, Webster Groves is 9.2%. The areas surrounding us that we are spending our tax dollars at are just as much as that would be. It's not unreasonable, it's not through the roof. A couple other things that I just wanted to touch on. As far as the Lindbergh School District is concerned, the overcrowding issue is an issue regardless. It is a separate issue. Lindbergh's area is dramatically expanding every year. I mean, you hear the people coming up and speaking for Lindbergh saying they're every year getting more and more kids. That's going to happen no matter what. The area is getting older, people are retiring, they're moving out. That is a separate issue, and I don't think it should be concerned. So I support the TIF, and I really think that everyone should do a little bit more research, and I please would appreciate you to approve the TIF favorably. Thank you.
Mr. Tishels.
Mike Tishels.
Sorry, you have to speak up to it.
Yeah, okay.
Thank you.
My name is Mike Tishels. I'm a proud parent of an 8th grader at Lindbergh Elementary, Lindbergh School District. And I have to know, contrary to what an earlier speaker had said, if it was implied that way, home values are not going down. I've been in the market just recently in this area, in Crestwood, and in the district. Home values are going up. And they're going up entirely because of the Lindbergh School District. That is the #1 marketing factor for real estate agents in our community for residential real estate. Anyway, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the commission, Mr. Chairman and honorable members of the commission, I would like to point out that when I served as president of the Crestwood Board of Aldermen over a year and a half ago, I was delighted to receive the news of the sale of the Crestwood Mall property, which was owned by Centrum Partners to Urban Street Group. On behalf of the board, I sent an email communication to Mr. Burke, Bob, principal of Urban Street, congratulating his firm on the purchase and expressing my sincere hope that something positive will emerge in the future and was both beneficial to his company as well as the community. Mr. Burke replied by calling me the next day. In the conversation that followed, I was pleased to hear that Urban Street would not be following the path of Centrum, and that a development proposal would not be made public until a sufficient number of tenants could be confirmed as part of the project. Given the debacle that occurred with Centrum, this was a breath of fresh air. However, what has transpired since the rollout of Urban Streets development proposal last spring is, in its lack of confirmed tenants, as we are so far told, is indeed materially no different than what Centrum offered. Indeed, it all remains conceptual, just as Centrum's was a concept, with the exception, of course, including a proposal, in its proposal, a high-rent apartment complex. But as we have heard from one member of this commission, with extensive experience in the real estate profession, it is unlikely these high rents are sustainable in the market area, in this particular market area. I've been hearing the same thing from folks I've canvassed door to door in Crestwood.
30 seconds.
Also, I'm very concerned about the grocery store proposed for this. I have spoken to the managers of all our major grocers along Watson Road, and they're concerned that there won't be enough grocery market pie. That will not benefit Crestwood, its citizens, or the Lindbergh School District. Mr. Schlenk.
My name is Jeff Schlenk. I live at 1228 Capri. I'm a resident of Crestwood. Earlier, Mr. Miller talked about working with 4 other mayors, and some of them lost their reelection bid because of this particular development. I am one of those victims of losing their reelection due to this development that we have. I agree that we should redevelop the mall property, but what's interesting, in some recent events, I think that Stan Kroenke initiated a very interesting conversation when we debated whether or not we should keep the St. Louis Rams. And that conversation was, should public money be used to help and benefit wealthy developers? As we heard from Mr. Burke tonight, Urban Street has the financial capacity to handle this project. He added that $2.5 million, which was the purchase price of the property, is practically zero to them. It is also telling that Urban Street's earlier documents state that 4% return on investment without the TIF is not acceptable, but in the flyer tonight, you can read that the phrase is printed, it's not financially feasible. Not acceptable and not financially feasible are very different terms. So based on Urban Street's financial capacity to handle this project, should public money be used to benefit wealthy developers? Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Are there any other people, folks? Please come forward and identify yourself and speak to us, please.
My name is Ryan Cappy. I grew up here in Crestwood. My parents rented here, bought 2 homes here. I spent a lot of time actually here. I no longer live here. I've lived in 6 states since then, in 2 countries, and I also work in real estate, so I do have an idea of what's going on. A couple of big points kind of stuck out of this whole TIF situation. And before I go any further, I do want to say I appreciate your guys' time. Coming up here on a Wednesday night to get yelled at probably isn't your most exciting day of the week. So one thing with the development is that there's no anchor tenants in place. With any development, you have to get an anchor tenant. For your situation, you do have the ability to put that into your contract with the TIF. As a realtor, I think it definitely has to be developed, but you have to do it in a sustainable way. So, so there's no anchor tenant in place. 1 to 2 bedroom apartments do not really fit the culture of Crestwood. 1 to 2 bedroom apartments don't really provide a whole lot of family values. And as a millennial, I'm not really going to come to Crestwood to pay for a 1 or 2 bedroom apartment. It's just not where they're going. Most of my clients, they want to be in Lindbergh school districts. That is what's bringing up your rental value, or your property value. And the apartment complex, that's going to be really conducive towards, who manages it and how well it keeps. You could look at Spanish Lake for great examples of what happens when these things fail, and what sort of financial pressures those apartment complexes get in. That's where you kind of get into that Section 8 talk. But for initial development, that probably won't happen at all. Doing the senior housing, I think that's a great option. definitely enough baby boomers to provide for senior housing. But the crucial aspect of that is that either the apartments or the senior housings don't provide for paying back the TIF. There's no sales incentive. So the amount of money that they're asking for the TIF doesn't associate with the figures that they presented in the previous sales of the mall. There's also, and I love the concept, but how much commercial space there isn't really going to provide back at the same amount of sales to pay off that TIF in the time period that they're presenting. So you guys hold the ability to determine what this TIF will contribute to and what will be exempt. Urban Street will flip this property. There's no doubt about it. That's what they do. They're developers. And so, I mean, you have the ability to prevent another Edward Jones Dome situation. All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you, sir. At that point, is there anyone else we have? What's the commission's position on letting the speakers before you will come back up again and speak again? What did you think about that? Do I hear those? Okay. Sorry, Mr. Rhodes. Decided not to. Sir, you have not spoken. Please do so.
My name is Jeff Jovansky, and I represent the eyes and the actuals of seeing over 12 years of what combining what would be considered a sustainable and communing garden, Crestwood Creek, and the watershed area and education can do. I also represent all those people that would like to have an area to accomplish something relevant and daily progress, integrate, innovate, and our present day focus of what sustainability is. And I would just like to say that I would be 100% available to provide any of my very good relationships over 18 years in this area. And I know that there's a lot of people that are ready in this area. I live 2 stories up in Sunset Hills from the Crestwood line. I'd like to walk and ride my bike to this area. I'd like to have a marketplace that also, I like the idea of the Grants Trail connection. We have several grants that have helped build in this area. I've taken through Missouri Stream Team 8 years on Crestwood Creek, right on this property, right by the cliff here, and had over 60 students that were educated and enjoy spending time with nature. I see that we have money that is coming to a community that's ready to have a community, and I see that there's an education system that can easily be integrated with this development. What is hard for me to see is where we can all go and continue a conversation that we can keep presenting to the developer, everyone involved, to the city, and we can have it streamlined so that everybody feels as though they're a part of this development. I appreciate you letting me share and be a part of 2 stories down.